Alright everyone, welcome back to another video. Last time we left off with the largest loudspeaker in Italy, showing the big old artillery gun that the US had. We're now on to the flag marches on in the Pacific. May 16th, 1944. Wakate Island falls to the Allies. Hitting the beach under a hail of enemy fire, US Army soldiers, top picture here, take cover behind fallen trees, driftwood, and whatever other protection they can find as they storm the Wakate Island. Behind them flies the stars and stripes, waving in the breeze from the stern of a damaged landing craft. In the picture below, other men of the 41st Division hit the beach from their landing craft. The island soon fell under the determined attack, providing the Allies with a strategic airfield 110 miles farther west than the previous outpost at Hollandia, which had been seized in April. The beauty of Wakate was that the Japanese had constructed a coral surface bomber airfield on the island, which was to prove a great asset to the Americans. Yeah, so just reusing what the Japanese already had. Pretty smart idea, because it then lowers the amount of time that you can then attack again. So if you have this more forward airbase, you're going to use it pretty effectively. Infantry hits the beach at Sarmi, May 17th, 1944. Important gain in New Guinea. LCI's landing craft infantry reached the beach in the second wave of the invasion of Sarmi. Dutch New Guinea and a Coast Guard combat photographer, coming in with the first wave, was there to catch the striking beachhead picture. Stretcher bearers are shown going down the ramps and plunging through the surf in the amphibious assault, which resulted in the capture of Wakate Island and Sarmi in a 2-day campaign. This gave the Allies a base 110 miles farther west than the previous outpost at Hollandia, which had been seized in late April. The new stride in the Pacific brought the Allies within 1,000 miles of the Philippines. And so we get to see this real interesting photo. It's very kind of hard to make out certain things. Like that guy looks like a shadow, basically, and so does that guy. But you can see the 30. But yeah, 1,000 miles within 1,000 miles of the Philippines. That's relatively close. Like, it's showing that they're gonna be there soon. So I'm sure the Philippines and Douglas MacArthur himself are going to be happy because, well, hey, look, we're going to get there, and we're going to prove that we can help defend these guys. The Allies leave a calling card at Surabaya, May 17th, 1944. And then there were none. A few minutes before the picture at the top was taken, the only oil refinery on the island of Java was producing gasoline for the Japanese. Carrier-based bombers from a combined Allied task force chose it as the target during the successful surprise attack on the former Dutch naval base. In the bottom picture, smoke funnels up from exploding bombs on docks and warehouses. Yeah, so hitting the Japanese oil refineries is very important here because the Japanese don't really have much oil. It's one of the reasons that they make these attacks, because they don't have a lot of oil. So they are trying to gain land that might have it, and that does have it, and then just hold on to it so they can have a consistent oil for a war machine or anything, really. So hitting that and blowing it up, getting rid of their gasoline, is very, very important here. And then you can see, obviously, destroying the dock, trying to destroy as many ships as possible. Casino falls to the Allies, May 18th, 1944. victory for the Allies. The final battle for Cassino began May 16th. This was the town which the Nazis had held since January, though the fiercest fighting of the whole Italian campaign and through the Great Allied air attack on March 15th. This time, the tactics were different. The Poles fought their way around Cassino to the north, and the British units fought their way around from the south. Seeing this trap, the Germans counterattacked furiously, but by Thursday morning, the 18th, the British and Poles had joined to complete the encirclement. By this time, it was too late for all the Germans to get away. More than 1,500 of Marshal Kesselring's crack parachute troops were taken prisoner, and enough material to fit out 2 artillery divisions was seized. Battered buildings form a backdrop for the above picture of the town as it appeared on March 16th, after the terrific bombardment of the town and its ancient Benedictine abbey, which had been pictured in another part of this volume. So you can see Cassino is kind of in ruins. And yeah, wiping out the Germans here, this is it. This is the big blockhead, more or less, for the Germans. And now that this is gone, they're not going to be able to defend like they once did in Italy. It's going to be a lot more falling back. And yeah, obviously they talk about the abbey being destroyed. Very unfortunate. It was very wrong. There weren't even any Nazis there. It was just wrong for the Allies to blow it up. But in hindsight, as they say, is 2020. The Allies didn't necessarily know that there was no Germans. They just thought there was. So. Cossacks in the Ukraine. May 1944. Rest hour for man and horse. Along the Second Ukrainian Front, in the foothills of the Carpathians, Don Cossack guardmen are shown resting. These traditional warriors play an important role in action in this sector. Despite the emphasis the teachings of World War II place on mechanized equipment, in the center of this ubiquitous Red Army, nurse shown bandaging a wounded troop. The guardsman in the foreground is apparently testing the keenness of his sword blade. Yeah, so the Cossack troops, really important to Russia. Have been for a long time. You can see he's testing his blade. But look at the bevel. I think, yeah, that's a bevel. Look at that. Look at how big that is. That is ridiculous. But it's a cavalry sword, so maybe it was more useful. Because the tip, as you can see, is more. They're trying to lower the weight as much as possible. I guess they succeeded. But yeah. It's interesting to think that there are horse troops still in World War II, but they were useful, so you're going to use them. Clark leads beachhead force to Junction. May 25th, 1944. A handshake and Anzio is history. American Fifth Army patrols advancing rapidly through the enemy-evacuated Pontine marshes made contact with patrols from the Anzio beachhead early on the morning of Thursday, May 25th. This climaxed a dramatic 2-week, 60-mile advance and established in southern Italy a continuous 150-mile front in the shape of a huge arc, which stretched from the Adriatic Sea above Ortona to the Tyrrhenian seacoast at a point 20 miles south of Rome. The original junction was made early in the morning when 2 American officers met on the shore road 7 miles below the beachhead line and shook hands. In this picture, Lieutenant General Mark W. Clark and his force footed down the road a little below the Anzio beachhead to effect the junction with the main force advancing toward the beachhead. After the junction, the combined forces marched on towards Rome, driving the fleeing Germans before them. The merger of the American forces closed the fissure which had been existing since January when the Anzio beachhead was established. At that time, it was hoped that the landing in the north would serve to outflank the Nazis, with the result of a quick capture of Rome. Unfortunately, Nazi opposition proved stronger than the early battle for the beachhead indicated, and it was not until the above date, aided by good weather and complete air superiority, that the Allies were able to consolidate their lines. After the consolidation, the Allies began to move on Rome, although they still had to fight for every inch of ground. Yeah, the Germans, as I said earlier, it's going to be a fallback a lot, but they will fight for each piece of land. They're not just going to roll over, but they're not going to have this big defense like they did here. It's not going to be the same. And once again, as I've said in all the previous videos, for really this part, the beginning of the end is coming. Not even the beginning of the end. The end is coming. We're past the beginning. And you have to think in some way the Führer knows that this is the end. Well, with that, that's going to do it for this video. If you guys liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Tell me what I could improve on. I always appreciate your feedback. And as always, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Thank you.